Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY and the daily time frame. Like I've gone over many times before, this C wave in here, I'm not convinced is over. When we look at this little piece in here, I've been looking at a correction on the lower time frames. We are starting to get bearish divergence up in here. So I'm really looking for a short, but there is no sell set up on it. This still can continue just to keep on struggling up like this. What I'll be looking for is a nice sharp move down, impulse down and a correction, and then I can look for a sell to go and break the lows. The H1, there's really nothing either. You have to be very careful with the sell here. Um, you know, at this stage, we have a bulk hidden there. So you got to be very careful. That's why I said on the last time frame, this can keep on going up like this. There's nothing to say that this top won't be broken again with this bull hidden present. So that's why I'd like that bull hidden taken out by breaking this low, then giving us a correction and a sell set up, and then we can look to sell. AU on the daily. I'm looking at this large A. All this is a B, and we get this C up. This has been very choppy at the front, at the end here. If you recall back, we did have that bear hidden here a couple of weeks ago. And I said you got to be very careful with the buy because this can come down and break that low. And although it hadn't broken the low yet, it's become very deep. So we've got to be very careful with the buys and the sells. I think it's looking more bearish on the lower time frame with this sort of like getting a flat here. We had a flat over here that we're looking to sell, and we got that. Now it's sort of it's becoming it looks like we're getting a larger correction here to the downside. So we got an impulse. We're getting a correction now, so we can get three down like an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C running flat or expanding flat in here, and then we get more downside. So I'm sort of looking at a larger correction for more downside at this stage. You could look to sell this. This is looking very bearish here. You could look to sell that, but I'd be mindful that it may be just an A, B, C before we get that larger one up, filming that flat like I just showed, and then we get more downside. GU, again, we got this A, B, C like I've shown. It didn't get it up to the 100 fib like I was looking for it to do, but it did. It looks pretty much complete. This has been very messy too. On the H4, we were looking for this C down for a very long time. Well, we were looking for this C up in here first, and then this C down. It's come down to that 100 fib, so this is pretty much played out. This can turn motive though. We may have like a 1, 2, 3, and we get a wave 4 and a wave 5 down. So I'm not convinced that this isn't just an ABC down at this stage because we lost all the bullish divergence. So we've got to be careful here. This may give us some sort of a correction in here and then more downside. So we'll have to see when we get more data. At this stage on the H1, there's a bear hidden here. So you got to be very careful. If we got a correction in here, you could look for a C up. And then, you're possibly looking for more downside. So yeah, if you're looking for a buy, it's more than likely just going to be a scalp for a C up. EU EU bounced clean off the 100 fib in that wave C on the daily. On the H4, it's very choppy in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do get more upside here. You can see how choppy this is. You know, there is no buy setup on it. That's the problem, and there really isn't a sell setup either. Even on the H4, we got bullish divergence in between the two lows, so got to be careful. But it's very similar to GU on the H1. We have a bear hidden, a possible bear hidden. So we may get some sort of an A, B, C down and a larger flat, like an A, B, C here, running or expanding flat in here and more downside. Or this is like 1, 2, 3, and we get a wave 4 in here and a wave 5 down. So I am still looking for downside. There is no sell setup on it. That's the problem. If I just go quickly down to the lower time frames, see M15, we're still not getting bearish divergence in here yet either. So I'd be expecting another one up. And then if we got bearish divergence between the two tops, a nice impulse down on the lower time frames and a sell setup, I'd look to sell for that fifth wave down on the H1. And you on the daily, this isn't looking very good at all. It didn't really play out at all. I was looking at that A, B, C, and we didn't get that C up. We sort of had this, well, I am still looking at this A, B, C in here, like this A, all this is a B and a C. Until this low is broken, I'll always be looking at this as a B wave. So I am looking for buys, but it's just not giving me any buy setups. There was this here that was looking very bearish for a sell. We've now got down to this 100 fib here. So really, I'm waiting for a buy setup, but there's no buy. For the buy, I'd want, a break above this top, a nice impulse up, a correction, and a bullish setup to buy. Until I get this, I'm pretty much staying out of this. You can't really sell it either because we have that bullish divergence present, so it gets risky to sell to at this stage. GY, we got this C up. We got this A, B, C, so I'm looking for this larger A, B, C, but I'm not convinced that this is over yet, this wave C up. This is looking rather bullish still, all this. We did come down and close the gap, so we sort of, it's very choppy down. There was a bullish setup in here, whether you got it or not. I posted it in my room, but yeah, still got to be very careful here as well because this is possibly a bear hidden here, and we can come down. We've got like 3 up here, and it still can come down and break that low with that bear hidden present. So we got to be careful still. I was looking for a buy in here. Back here a few weeks ago, we had the 3 down here, and we were starting to get this, but it fell over, so that was good that it did. UY, I'm looking at all this as a correction here for more downside, like some sort of an A, B, C in here. This is very choppy, so I'm looking at as a B wave. H4, we got the 5 up, but again, like GU, it doesn't look complete. It's still, we didn't get a really nice impulse down from the top, so it's still looking rather bullish. Like from the top here, I would have liked a nice impulse down breaking that low and then a correction and a sell setup, and then I could look for a sell. But instead we got, a very choppy, it looks bullish. It still looks bullish. And we still may get another one down in here. And then if we got an impulse up breaking that top, well, and a bullish setup, well, you could scalp to go and break the top. But yeah, that's about all it is, scalping at this stage. UCAD on the daily. I'm looking at that like W, X, Y, X2 and a Z down in here. This is looking very corrective, so I'm looking for more downside. We already had the 5 up here, and it went up and give us another high. It's coming down quite quick from the top here, so we've got to be. It's more bearish. You could look to sell this. If we get a nice correction in here, get a nice correction in there next week, and a sell setup, you could look for at least 3 down, like an A, B, C. Ideally, it falls over for that daily for you, and you get a big move down. But either way, I'll be looking for an A, B, C here. And so you got to wait for this correction and a sell setup to sell. There's nothing there yet. The Swissy, still looking for downside. I'm not convinced that this is the low like I've been mentioning. I'm looking at that A, B, C, possibly down to this 100 fib. Just in this last section here, we got like an A, B, C in here. It's really on the lower time frame. We still may get another one up in here. This is what I'm pretty much looking at on the H1. It's really just a scalp. We got like 1, 2, 3. We get away 4 in here, and we trade away 5 up. We're getting bullish hidden divergence in here. So, yeah, I'll be looking for a buy. Again, there is no buy setup on it at this stage. Even on the lower time frames, there's no buy setup at this stage. In fact, I'd be looking for another one down. We don't have any bullish divergence in there, and we may get a bear hidden in here. Get a bear hidden, and then another one down, and then I'd be looking for the buy for that 5th wave up on the H1. EG on the daily, we're getting higher highs here. We've already got the 5 up, so I'm pretty much staying out of this until we get a larger correction. There's really not much to do here, unless you're going to just follow the trend, just scalp with the trend. But yeah, not the best idea once we've already got 5 up. I mean, this looks quite bullish here. I wouldn't be surprised if that top gets broken, but I'd want a really nice entry to trade it. WTI, I really would have liked this to break the low. This in here to break this low. It hasn't broken that low, and yet we're getting a bullish setup over here. So I'm more inclined to buy. Unfortunately, it hasn't, didn't break the low on the daily. But as you can see here, I'm looking for a buy. We got a nice impulse up correction. I'm looking for a buy for at least 3 up. So this one might go next week, I'm hoping. Gold's right up the top of the market. It's starting to look bearish. Excuse me. We're starting to get a bearish sort of a setup here. Yeah, price action starting to look bearish. We've got to give this a lot of, time But overall, I'm looking for a sell setup, waiting for that correction, and then I'll look to sell for at least, an A, B, C. There's really nothing on it at this stage, so, no sell setup, so to speak. Silver's virtually identical to gold at this stage. H4, we got the impulse down and we're starting to get a correction. So, well, it's starting to look like a bearish correction. So wait for this correction to be over. Wait until we can see a corrective pattern complete, and then we'll look for a sell setup for at least an ABC, same as gold. Bitcoin, this come from a top. This was a sell in here, if you remember. We're looking for a sell here, and it's given us 3 down. So there's nothing really to do here now. We are getting bullish divergence, so you've got to be careful. It's more on the lower time frame, on the H1, where we can still get another one down in here, like I've shown in my room. We got like 1, 2, 3. We get A, B, C, and then we get a wave 5 down. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm not convinced that that is the end. I'll be looking for possibly get another one up. Really like to see this top here broken in this like C wave, and then nice impulse down on the lower time frames and the sell setup, and you could look for that 5th wave down. S&P 500 right up the top of the market here. It's starting to get a little bit of downside, but you can see this in here. H4, it's still very much bullish. This is still very much bullish. We got a bull hidden in here, so if you got a bullish setup, you could look for it. Very risky buying at the top of the market, but again, it's really just a scalp. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any more upside. You could look on, go down to the lower time frame here, M15, and if you got a correction in there, you could look for at least 3 up, possibly breaking the top. On the weekly, that's the 161.8 on the wave 5, so I'd be targeting this. AU200, we're right at the top. We're getting some sort of a correction up the top here. You've got to be very patient. We're waiting for a correction. We got an impulse. We're getting a correction. So we'll just see what correction we get in there, and then I'd be looking for upside still. At this stage, there really isn't much on it. Like over here, we were looking for this, to go, and that did. Yeah, there's really not much on it at this stage. If we go down to the lower time frame, we're already getting bullish divergence in here. But yeah, I mean, you could scalp it on the real low time frames, get like correction in here, and you get an A, B, C, and then you'd be looking for downside again, though. So yeah, it's just scalping on the real lower time frames. I shouldn't be going into it on YouTube. The footsie's right up the top of the market, again, it's still more bullish. There's nothing bearish looking about it. And again, just like AU200, you could scalp it. You get a correction in here and just scalp 3 up. But yeah, just scalping, quite risky. Lastly, the DAX. We're in some sort of a rising channel here. It's still looking very much bullish. Whatever's happening in here is correction for more upside. Whether it goes from here and really takes off to give us that A, B, C, or whether it just keeps on doing this, and it can do this for quite a while before you get that one that goes. So, but yeah, looking at all this as a correction and looking for a buy, you may get a buy set up on it. I would have liked a nice larger correction, but unfortunately it gave us that rising wedge, well, rising channel sort of thing. The H4, I'd be looking for some sort of an A or B and a C up flat before you get like an A, B, C. So yeah. Hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, share and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.